Hey everyone, it's Jananie and welcome back to another episode of #EpicBookRecs. So this is the monthly series that I do here on the Epic Reads channel where I recommend a bunch of books based on a certain theme. So we've done a bunch of fun and exciting themes before, so you can definitely go check them out using the playlist down below. But for today's video, I thought I would go with a little bit of a seasonal theme. I am feeling the summer vibes. They are coming. It's really hot here in Canada where I am at the moment. So I'm definitely in the mood for some YA contemporary romances that will just put a smile on my face and just give me a good time during the summer. So for today's video, I have 10 or so YA contemporary romances that you're sure to love in the summer. Alright, so the first book on this list that I'm super excited to read this summer is A Show for Two by Tashi Bhuiyan. This seems like it's going to be such an adorable YA contemporary romance. It follows our main character Mina Raman, who is an aspiring director, and she's determined to win the Golden Ivy film competition. Some of her other ambitions are getting into her dream school across the country and also leaving New York City, her home, behind. And our book kicks off when Mina's ticket to winning the film competition basically lands in her lap when indie film star and known heartbreaker Emmett Ramos enrolls in her school under a secret identity to research his next role. Mina obviously is determined to strike up a deal with Emmett, and he says he will help her with her student film competition entry if she will help him win a photography contest where he has to take photos around New York City. And so these two characters go gallivanting around the city and end up falling for each other in the meantime. I feel like this is going to be such an adorable romance and one that really puts a smile on my face. So I feel like for that reason, it's perfect to read in the summer when you're just feeling those good vibes. All right, this next book is literally set in the summer, and that's Love Boat Taipei by Abigail Hing Wen. And this book seems like a fun new experience type of story. It follows our main character Ever Wong, whose parents have sent her off to this educational immersion program in Taiwan. And where Ever is expecting this really harsh and strict educational program, she finds instead that the program is filled with all of these wealthy kids who come from different backgrounds and who are very much more interested in the non-stop Taipei nightlife than anything to do with the curriculum. Hookups abound and adult supervision seems to be non-existent, and Ever is finding that she is finally getting some freedom that she's never had before. But of course, every summer comes to an end, and Ever's going to have to deal with the fact that, you know, all this is going to come to an end, her freedom and also some of the relationships that she started during the summer. This seems like the perfect summer escape, and I cannot wait to pick it up. Alrighty, this next book is also set in the summer, and it's set at a summer camp. And so that book is You Have a Match by Emma Lord. This is a book of friendships, love, and sisterhood. The book begins with our main character Abby, who signs up for a DNA service mainly to impress her longtime friend and secret crush, Leo. Abby has always been someone who's very sure of herself. She's a photographer, she's a terrible tree climber, but she's looking for something to shake up her and Leo's relationship after something pretty awkward and embarrassing happened recently. But although Abby signs up for this DNA service without thinking much about it, what she finds is that she actually has a younger sister. So Abby's secret sister is Savannah Tully. She's this shimmery Instagram star that is nothing like Abby herself. And what Abby finds is that Savannah is actually only a year and a half older than her. And so Abby's determined to find out what's going on. So she decides that she's going to meet up with Savannah at a summer camp and figure out what's going on and why her parents decided to give Savannah up. This book seems like it's going to be a really cute story of sisters, but also a bit of a cute romance as well with Abby and Leo. I love that it's set in a summer camp as well, so it definitely gives off those summer vibes, and I think it's the perfect thing to pick up in the next few months. Alrighty, speaking of summer camps and summer programs, this next book is also set in the summer, and that is When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandhya Menon. This is one of my longtime favorite books. It follows two Indian American main characters. So the first is Dimple, who has some strict parents who also really want her to connect to her roots and also engage in potentially a arranged marriage. But Dimple has no aspirations to any of these things. She only wants to become a successful app developer. On the flip side, we have our other main character, Rishi Patel, who is a hopeless romantic. He loves the idea of this arranged marriage or finding someone that is destined for you. And when his parents bring up the potential for a sort of setup of sorts with another girl his age, he is all for it. And so this is where the situation situation arises where Dimple really wants to go to this app development camp or program in the summer, and so Dimple's parents agree to send her there, but they don't tell her that they've also worked with Rishi's parents to send him to the same program and see if he can woo her into a potential match. But of course, Dimple is not easily swayed, and their relationship starts off in a very rocky place at the beginning of the summer, and then of course develops from there. This book was such a fun read and definitely gives you those summer vibes because it's set at this summer program and it has that feeling of, you know, ending at the end of summer and also being in this new environment during only a few months. I absolutely love Dimple and Rishi as characters, and I thought their romance was so adorable, so it's definitely a pick-me-up read for the summer. Alrighty, this next book is a favorite of mine, and that is The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. This is such an adorable romance, and I feel like it's such a whirlwind romance that it's perfect for summertime. So this book follows our two main characters, Natasha and Daniel. Natasha is the girl who believes in science and facts and is very, very practical. But when her family is about to be deported back to Jamaica, she doesn't know what to do. On the flip side, we have Daniel, who's always been the good student and obedient son, but on the inside, he's actually more of a dreamer and a poet. He dreams of doing something very impractical for school, and he knows that his family would never approve. And this is where these two main characters with very different outlooks on life and sort of ways of thinking come together and meet in an unlikely circumstance in New York City and end up sort of falling in love in a whirlwind way as they try to stop Natasha from getting deported. This is a book that restores your belief in love and life and the people in this world, and I think it was such a beautiful, beautiful book. One of the things I loved about it was that it is not only told from Natasha and Daniel's perspectives, but we also get snippets of perspectives from the other people that Natasha and Daniel meet throughout their day. I absolutely loved Daniel and Natasha as characters. I think they were so endearing and just had so many strengths to each of them as they were going through their separate struggles. So if you're looking for something that's not necessarily the happiest read, but one that will definitely leave you with a lot of hope and love for the world, this is definitely the book to pick up. Alrighty, this next book is actually set in the summer as well, and that is This Is What Happy Looks Like by Jennifer E. Smith. I feel like all of Jennifer E. Smith's books are great ones to read in the summer. She has some really fun and uplifting romances that will just put a smile on your face. But This Is What Happy Looks Like is a really fun summer romance, and it follows our main characters Graham and Ellie. The story begins when Graham accidentally emails Ellie about his pet pig, and from there they strike up an unlikely correspondence, telling each other about their lives and sort of growing a real friendship and maybe something more over email. But although they share a lot about their lives, they don't share some of the most important things. Ellie doesn't share a secret hidden in her family tree, and Graham doesn't share that he's actually a bit of a star. But when Graham has the opportunity to spend time in Ellie's hometown in Maine, he jumps on the opportunity and takes their relationship that started online into real life. And these two characters from very different walks of life are coming together and falling in love. And I thought it was such a cute read and definitely a great one for the summer. Alrighty, this next book that I have is another romance that takes place over a single day, and that is Nick and Norah's Infinite Playlist by Rachel Cohn and David Levithan. I absolutely love romances that take place over a short amount of time. I think they're so much fun and just have this whirlwindy feeling, and they're the perfect type of quick romance that I love to read during the summer. So Nick and Norah are both New York natives, and they are total opposites and only share one thing in common, which is their killer taste in music. Nick has recently gone through a pretty brutal breakup, and Norah is not really sure what she thinks of the world and is trying to work through some of her assumptions about it. But when the two meet in an indie rock scene in a very unlikely circumstance, they end up going on a little bit of a journey to find a secret show by one of the best bands in New York. And what starts out as an awkward encounter turns into one of the most whirlwind first dates with lots of additional awkward encounters. I think this one's a really fun read if you love New York, if you've ever been to New York, or if you live in New York. And it's also a really fun one if you know the music references in the book as well. I think they were so fun. And I personally loved just how real Nick and Norah's relationship was in this book. Nothing about it is very fluffy. It's very real, but it's also a lot of fun. Despite all of their flaws, you will find yourself falling in love for both Nick and Norah, and I just loved seeing them come together by the end. Alrighty, this next book is one that I've been meaning to read for a while. It's a book that's set in the spring, but it could definitely give you those summer vibes with how whirlwind of a story it is. So that book is Tokyo Ever After by Emiko Jean. And this book follows her main character Izumi Tanaka, who is Japanese American and who has lived in her small, mostly white Northern California town all her life. For Izumi, it's always just been her and her mother, but when she stumbles upon some information that reveals that she is the daughter of the Crown Prince of Japan, her whole world is sort of shattered, and she's starting to realize that there's a whole other part of her life that she never knew. And so in a whirlwind, Azumi travels to Japan to meet her estranged father and also discover the country she never knew. But being a princess is not all tiaras and dresses, and she is faced with a lot of the culture shock as she is entering this Japan society and forced to learn thousands of years of customs and traditions literally overnight. Amidst all of this, there also seems to be a bit of a romance with a bodyguard at the palace, and Azumi's life is just basically turned upside down. This book seems like it's going to be such a fun whirlwind romance and also just story overall. It definitely gives me Princess Diaries vibes, and I feel like it's just the perfect type of whirlwind, fun, quick read for the summer. Alrighty, with that said, those are all the books that I wanted to recommend today for this episode of Epic Book Recs. I hope you enjoyed hearing about all of these YA contemporary books that feature some strong romances and also some really fun summer vibes. As always, I would love to hear from all of you what you think about each of these books, and also if you have any other recommendations for me or the people watching. I always appreciate hearing your recommendations, so definitely leave them down below. Once again, I'm Jananie from the channel This Story Ain't Over, and I will see you next time. Bye.